Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Muhammad Dato Ahmad Haji bin Ami HARIZAM. I am legislator from Perlis. First of all, I want to introduce a few info about state legislation assembly. The Perlis State Legislative Assembly is the state legislature of the Malaysia states of Perlis. It is a unicameral institution consisting of total 15 lawmakers representing single-member constituencies throughout the state. Members of the state legislature are called assemblymen. The assemblyman convenes at the Perlis State Assembly Complex in the state capital, which is Kangah. It has 15 seats, making it the smallest state assembly in Malaysia. As the state's legislative body, the Perlis State Legislative Assembly's main function is to enact laws and that apply to Perlis, known as enactment. The Speaker presides over the Assembly proceedings and works to maintain order during debates. The state government executive branch, known as the State Executive Council, which is EXCO, including Menteri Besar, are drawn from the Assembly. Menteri Besar is ceremonially appointed by the Raja of Perlis on the basis that he is able to command majority in the Assembly. The Menteri Besar then appoints member of the state's EXCO, drawing from member of the Assembly. The challenges that legislators face in carrying out their responsibilities, the balancing of power, was one of the issues we confront as a legislative. Legislative authority is necessary, but that does not guarantee that the legislator is better if there is a great power. Imbalance in its favor, more authority for the legislature is just not better if the right balance is reached. In other words, an imbalance in the legislator's favor is not better than an excess in a governor's favor. The legislature must genuinely be a branch of the government with equal of power. The pros and advantages of being a legislator. The pros and benefits of being a legislator include the opportunity to try something new and challenging. This is because we have a fantastic opportunity to learn how to make law. Furthermore, we are more concerned with the people and their rights. When you are helping people, that's the most important thing to you, and it makes you happy. When you can aid people by upholding human rules, that is the most important and satisfying thing you could do. Then the parliamentarians have the power to make rules of the House and punish members of the House who violate established privilege. Then Article 63(4) the Federal Constitution provides that every member of Parliament is protected from a legal action in relation to the conduct of Parliamentary Council and voting.
Assalamualaikum. My name is ZAHIN MUKHRIZ and I hold the occupation as the Prime Minister. Today, I will be telling you about the introduction of a Prime Minister, the role and functions of the Prime Minister, the challenges that I have faced as the Prime Minister, and the advantages and benefits to becoming a Prime Minister. The Prime Minister of Malaysia is the person that has been appointed by the Yang Di-Pertuan Agong to become the head of the government of Malaysia and to preside over the cabinet. The Yang Di-Pertuan Agong appoints the Prime Minister by choosing a member of the Dewan Rakyat who in His Majesty's judgment feels like being most likely and most fitting to command the confidence of a majority of Parliament. The person that will be appointed by His Majesty must be of Malaysian citizen, which also means that this person cannot have obtained their citizenship or by registration or naturalization. As a Prime Minister, he will help His Majesty by giving advice on whom to appoint as other ministers from either the Dewan Negara or the Dewan Rakyat. Then, before exercising functions of the office, the Prime Minister and his selected cabinet ministers must make an oath of office and allegiance as well as an oath of secrecy while the Yang Di-Pertuan Agong is present. The person that the Yang Di-Pertuan Agong appoints as the Prime Minister is usually the leader of the party that wins the most seats in the general election. In a situation where the current Prime Minister is defeated in an election or passes away, the Yang Dipton Agong will generally appoint someone else as the new leader of the governing party or coalition as the new Prime Minister. The Prime Minister plays an important role and function in the government. Under the Constitution, the Prime Minister is needed to advise the Yang Dipton Agong on issues such as the appointments of judges of the Superior Courts. A few examples of the Superior Courts are the Court of Appeal, the Federal Court, and the High Courts. Other than that, the Prime Minister will also advise His Majesty on the appointment of certain commissions and councils. To name a few of these commissions and councils, there are Election Commission and Police Force Commission, and also National Finance Council and Armed Forces Council. Moving on, the Prime Minister is also expected to advise on the appointment of the Federal Deputy Ministers and Parliamentary Secretaries. Next is the summoning and adjournment of sittings of the Dewan Rakyat. In addition to that, there is also the appointment of 44 out of 17 senators in the Dewan Negara. Furthermore is the appointment of the federal ministers, and last but not least is the appointment of the Attorney General and the Auditor General. One of the many challenges that I have faced since becoming the Prime Minister is meeting and exceeding the expectations of the people. As their leader, the people must have some sort of expectations towards my leadership. And I have found struggle in meeting and exceeding their expectations because I cannot follow everything that the people want the government to do because there is limited resources. Other than that, securing my position as the Prime Minister has also proven to be difficult. This is due to the fact that every 4 years there will be a new election, and unless the opposing parties are weak, it would be hard for me to keep on securing my position because every representative of the opposing parties have their own special qualities. Some are good at being persuasive, some are good at giving motivation speeches. I would have to become better than the opposing parties in order to continue holding my position as the Prime Minister. During the time that I have been the Prime Minister, I have received quite a number of advantages and benefits that I didn't get before I became the Prime Minister. One of the advantages is that I have been treated by others with a special kind of treatment. This can be seen whenever there are seats that are booked specifically for me during events. In addition to that, whenever I'm needed in another state, there will be 3 to 4 vehicles that will be escorting me and make sure that other cars on the road makes way for me, thus making me being able to reach my destination quicker. The 3 to 4 vehicles escorting me is also another advantage as my protection has been increased since becoming the Prime Minister. Now that I'm of somewhat value towards my country, bodyguards have been assigned to protect me and be nearby wherever I go. This is to avoid me getting injured if a horrible thing happens wherever I'm at. Last but not least, the other people around me has been treating me with the utmost respect.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am the Right Honorable Tan Sri Datuk Afni Irfan bin Yusri, the Chief Justice of Malaya. I want to talk about the judiciary systems. First is judiciary background. History of Malaysian judiciary start from 1808 when Supreme Court was introduced in parallel with the first Charter of Justice in 1907. Then in 1826, a centralized judiciary is established for the Strait settlements for Penang, Malacca, and Singapore under the Second Charter of Justice. In 1855, the Third Charter was introduced where it separated the centralized courts into two, which is Penang and Malacca, and the other one is Singapore. The judiciary then separated from the executive in 1968. After 10 years, inferior courts, which is magistrates' courts and coroners' courts, are established. Johor was the first unfederated Malay state to include provisions for appeals to the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council in 1921. Under the Courts Ordinance of 1946, the title of subordinate court was changed to lower court. A Supreme Court consisting of a High Court and a Court of Appeal was established under the 1848 Agreement with unlimited civil and criminal jurisdiction. Court of Appeal decisions can be appealed to the Privy Council. With the independence of Malaya in 1957, the Federal Constitution came into being. The Federal Constitution maintained the appeal provision to the Privy Council in 1963. Lower court appeals, however, were changed. A federal court and 2 high courts with similar powers and jurisdiction replaced the Supreme Court. In 1965, Singapore opted out from Malaysia. However, the High Court of Malaya and the High Court of Borneo remained. In 1994, some changes were made to the current judicial systems. The next one is the role of judiciary. The first one is to give justice to the people. First and foremost, the judiciary's task is to deliver justice to the people whenever they seek it. Those found guilty of violating the laws of the state or the right of the people after the trial are punished. Next is role in lawmaking. The judiciary also plays a role in lawmaking. The decisions of the courts actually determine the scope, nature, and meaning of laws passed by the legislature. In essence, the judicial interpretation of laws amount to lawmaking, since it is these interpretations that define the laws. Furthermore, the judgment of the higher courts, which are the courts of records, are binding upon the lower courts. The latter can decide this case before them based on the decision made by the higher courts. Court decisions are source of law. Next is challenge faced by us. As a society, we increasingly rely on the federal judicial system to solve many of society's problems. This is illustrated by the trends toward federalizing crime to secure harsher penalties and longer prison terms. All of these issues are serious in their own right, but by resorting to the federal judicial system to solve these problems, we may create even greater problems. The problem inherent in federalizing what are in essence local crime is that it intrudes on the powers and duties of the states. Even worse, it allows the state to escape their responsibilities, and it takes from them the important job of local law enforcement in prosecuting local crimes. And that is all from us. Thank you. Salam.